I have 10 things. I have 9 teams and 1 player based on their odds to win National Player of the Year and their AP poll ranking. I want you to tell me if this team is overrated or underrated to what you think they really are. Not based on what you think they deserve, but what you think they really are in their core as a player, as a team. Overrated, underrated, give me about a sentence to describe it. We'll speed round this. Number 1, the Baylor Bears. They're the number 6 team in the country. Are they overrated or underrated?
They're underrated. Baylor's a Final Four level team.
You think they're one of the 5 best in the country?
I do.
Okay, I'm flip on this. I think they're overrated. I think they're 10 to 15. I don't think they play enough defense. I think they're the best offense in the country. They don't play enough defense. North Carolina, overrated or underrated? Number 9 in the country in the AP poll right now.
I think North Carolina's underrated. I still like the makeup of that team.
At the end, I'm going to need your list because I think you're going to have everybody underrated. I have North Carolina overrated. I think they are also a 10 to 20 team in the country, right around where Baylor is, maybe a little bit lower. I think they've outperformed what they really are to this point in the season. Tennessee, number 12 in the AP poll, overrated or underrated?
Can you do properly rated?
Nope. You have to pick overrated or underrated.
Well, I think Tennessee's a top 10 team. So at 12, they're underrated. I think they're a top 10 team.
Okay. I also think Tennessee is underrated. This is the first one that I have. I think they are a top 6 to 7 team in the country. I think they're really, really good.
I might have messed up on North Carolina. But
no, I'm pretty excited. We're going to have you do your list in a minute because next up is Kentucky, number 14. Are they overrated or underrated?
They're overrated right now. I think they're like 18 to 20 range.
Shocked by that.
Me too.
Kentucky's definitely underrated for me. I have them as a clear top 10 team in the country of who they really are by the end of the season, especially with Bradshaw coming along. I think they're great. Sure. Florida Atlantic, number 15. Overrated or underrated?
I think they're underrated.
Do you think they're a top 10 team?
Yeah, I would put them like right at 10.
So just to do a little mental math then, you have Baylor, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida Atlantic all as top 10 teams.
Yeah, I think if, hindsight 2020, I'd probably take North Carolina out of my top.
No. Baylor, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida Atlantic are all top 10 teams in Carter Elliott's world. You haven't mentioned Arizona, Purdue, and UConn, who I assume you think are top 10 teams. Mm-hmm. You haven't mentioned Marquette, who I assume you think is a top 10 team. You haven't mentioned Creighton, who I assume you think is a top 10 team. You haven't mentioned Kansas, who I assume you think is a top 10 team. You haven't mentioned Houston. That's 11 teams. Which one of those 10 is not in your 10?
Houston's not a top 10 team.
Oh, okay. Standing by it. All right. I'll go underrated for Florida Atlantic at 15. I think they're not a top 10 team, though. I think it's like 11 through 14, just slightly underrated. Illinois at number 16 in the country, overrated or underrated?
They're underrated. They're a top 12 team in the country. They're 12th.
Underrated just barely. Like they might be 15th instead of 16th. I think they will end the season top 15 in KenPom, though. That's my belief. Duke at 21, overrated or underrated?
Slightly underrated. I think they are a top 25 team. They're probably properly rated at 22, 21, whatever they're at.
I think they're overrated. I don't think this Duke team is a top 25 team in the country.
Wow.
Until they start winning some games on the road, man. I think this team's just going to lose every game they play on the road.
Good point.
Yeah. Wisconsin at 23.
Overrated.
Yeah. Like really overrated?
Yeah, like let's stop the charade. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. They're really overrated. Northwestern at 25, overrated or underrated?
I think they're overrated, unfortunately. I don't think it's a top 25 team. I don't. Boo's amazing. I think they're a tournament team. They're not a top 25 team.
I had no idea they were in the top 25.
Either did I. Are you sure they are?
Yeah. Yes.
Huh.
Unless I'm like really just looking at the wrong thing. They're 41st on KenPom at 7-1, just one spot ahead of Michigan. But they are 25th in the AP poll after that Purdue win.
I had no clue they were.
It hurts my heart to say it, but I'll go overrated. I don't think this team will finish the season in the top 25, but I do think this team will finish the season in the NCAA tournament with a lot to play for with Boo. And the final one here, the only player on the list, overrated or underrated. Zach Edey is currently minus 160 odds to win National Player of the Year. He was plus money up until about week and a half ago. Now he's all the way to minus 160 as a favorite. Is that overrated or is that underrated?
That's underrated. Those odds should be like minus 300.
I think they should be minus 1,000. Injury is the only way this guy doesn't win National Player of the Year. Somehow he's underrated. I've been screaming it since he was plus 200 odds, by the way. I hope somebody jumped all over that. By the way, Hunter Dickinson's the only guy that's even like not a long shot at this point. It's Edey, it's Hunter, and nothing else.